One of the most common questions that I've been asked lately is, are protests effective? And I totally understand where that question is coming from because I myself have had moments of apathy in thinking that what's the point? What's the point of showing up and protesting? Who actually cares? Thankfully, there's actually research around this issue, and the answer is yes, peaceful protests are actually twice as effective as violent conflicts as long as there are enough people there. So let's break this down. So there is a researcher, Erica Chenoweth. She's a political scientist at Harvard University. And she actually looked at all of the literature on civil resistance and social movements from 1900 to 2006. So, comparing those hundreds of campaigns over the last century, Chenoweth found that the peaceful protests led to political change 53% of the time, compared to only 26% for the violent protests and acts of civil disobedience. So that's twice as likely to succeed. But then she found this magic number. She found that if you have at least 3.5% of the population participating in these peaceful acts of resistance, then the outcome is inevitable. The people win. She said, quote, "There weren't any campaigns that had failed after they had achieved 3.5% participation during a peak event." Now, 3.5% might sound small, but it's actually a really large number, especially when you apply it to a country like the United States of America. I encourage you to go to generalstrike.com, sign up, pledging that you are willing to participate in an event like this. They are being very strategic in wanting to have that 3.5% committed before even taking action. 3.5% of the American population is 11 million people. So again, we're looking for a lot of individuals who are willing to stand up and peacefully strike, peacefully protest, peacefully demonstrate in some way. And one of the reasons that that number is so effective is that it's representative of the views of a much larger percent of the population. If 3.5% of people are willing to take time off of work, to make concessions with their family and their time, if they are that many people that are that pissed off, that means there are so many other people behind them that don't have the privilege for one way or another to actually get up and participate. It sends a message that creates real change. Now, there are valid fears out there about what happens if I show up to a protest. Will it actually stay peaceful? And are we potentially doing more harm? There's a concern that if enough people get out and protest and it's not peaceful, that would be a reason to enact martial law. But here's the thing. We're always going to be scared before we take action, right? We have data backing us up, and we also have the ability to control ourselves. So a peaceful protest is not an insurrection. It is not January 6th. It is not a riot. It is remaining peaceful. If you look back at the civil rights movement, the most amounts of violence came from the police, not from the protesters. And that also was not a time that martial law was called. But the reason that those peaceful protests remained peaceful was because the people participating kept it peaceful. So a plea to you, if you show up at these events, it is on you, it is your responsibility to keep it peaceful, which means you've got to be an adult and you've got to be patient. There likely will be counter-protesters. Part of their job is going to be to try to rile you up and get you to instigate violence. Don't do it. Don't be swayed. Remember who you are, why you're there, and the purpose of this mission. There also might be bad actors, people pretending to be protesters who are not actually interested in the cause or are actively trying to dismantle it, or even just people who are part of the cause and get carried away. If someone calling themselves an ally starts becoming violent, you call them out on that. That is not okay. It is not acceptable. So if you are able to participate in these peaceful demonstrations to change this current administration, I encourage you to get out there, stand up, stay safe. We can do this, but we've got to do it together.